Okay, asking questions that make you reflect on your actions can get very uncomfortable for many, but we have spent most of our lives living according to certain set of instructions given by others, our schools, families, and culture, and not really reflecting on our own actions and taking responsibility for our personal thoughts. So, if this is the first time you are questioning yourself, congratulations. It's probably the toughest thing you will ever do, but also probably the most rewarding step you will ever take for yourself and your life. Namaste and welcome to my channel. My name is Bhavna. And today I want to take you on a brand new journey, a journey of self-love. The goal of this series, called Simply Love, is to enable you to get comfortable with reflecting back within yourself. Because when you are in touch with how you really feel on the inside, you can move mountains. You can reconstruct your life to such an extent that you end up redefining every single emotion that you feel. And that is exciting. Feeling the highest form of love or anger or sadness, feeling the purity of every single emotion, knowing very well it's here to communicate with you and it's here to bring you to this present moment before it transmutes into neutrality. So, what is self-love? What does it mean for you? Whatever your answer was to that question, observe how that answer made you feel. If you realize that you often use less than loving words to describe yourself, say things like, I'm so lazy, or I don't deserve this, or I'm not worthy, or I'm sick of my life, write that down somewhere and date it. We will look back at your answer and compare how far you have come in this journey to self-love. In my own personal experience, self-love is simply being you, authentically you. And if you have no idea who the real you is, I can tell you that every single step you take to discover who you are is in fact an act of self-love. Self-love will transform your life by changing the way you perceive events in your life. When you go through a traumatic incident, you will see that the incident might present an opportunity to become more of you. That's the power of self-love. With self-love as a guiding light for you, you will seldom feel hopeless. And through the years, my experience has changed many times about self-love. I used to think that love was simply doing nice things for myself. Back then, self-love was always outside of me. Like I had to go get my hair done, I had to go get my makeup done, get my nails done, go to a yoga class, go out to a retreat. I had to take care of myself in the outside to feel any form of love. Today I realized that doing nice things for myself was simply a coping mechanism back then. Those acts of self-care simply held me together. They helped me preserve my own self-image. They helped me recharge so I could continue living the same life over and over again. Going to the spa validated for me how important I was because I needed that validation. Going for coffee with a friend was really all about looking for a deeper connection with someone on the outside because, frankly, I did not feel a connection with myself or my creator. My higher self, the higher aspect of me that I want to understand and to become. You see, I needed something outside of me, like shopping for an outfit to feel good inside of me. But that feeling didn't last for long, and I would find myself planning my next trip to shop or go to the spa or meet another friend. Basically, by doing all the things, I was still unable to find that deeper connection within. And isn't that reflected in our relationships as well? When you're unable to complete yourself, you look for the one person to complete you. When you are unable to make yourself feel happy, you try to hang around people to distract you from your own inner sadness. Your relationships are gauges for you. They show you where you feel incomplete. And when you find yourself wishing a relationship was better, maybe more fun, maybe deeper, what you're really wishing for is to connect with the fun aspect of you, the more loving aspect of yourself. In one word, self-love is discovery. Discovery of who you really are. Connection to your higher aspects. It's the unity between your being here and your source connection that's created you here. Self-love is every single baby step you take to understand who you are at the core, regardless of whatever you have on the outside. If you do not feel enough without everything that you have today, or if you believe that you will only feel good once you have that one big thing, then you're not practicing self-love. Self-love is not sacrificing the things. It's really being one with your higher aspect, regardless of whether you have the thing or not. Do you feel worthy without your successes or because of your successes? That's the question. Do you feel enough without approval from your parents or because of the approval from your parents? Do you feel empowered without the many opportunities for personal growth or because of the many opportunities for growth? Understanding that nuance is highly important for what we will discuss next. To practice self-love, you're going to need to surrender to this moment and this experience. You're going to need to distinguish between what is happening versus your perception of what is happening. And you're going to need to understand what your emotions are trying to tell you. I talk about surrender in my first or second video ever because without the continued practice of surrender, this journey would have been impossible for me. Surrender is simply letting go of what you think is happening, your perceptions, your attachments to the outcomes. To surrender is to give up trying to control how a situation or a relationship turns out. It's probably the toughest thing you will ever do, but without letting go of your expectations from life situations, you will not be able to step back and figure out what is actually happening behind the scenes. Once you are able to surrender, you can finally observe a situation for what it is and let go of what you need it to be. That's where perception comes into the mix. Many a times we judge a situation or a person based on their one singular action versus based on their intention. Observing what is really going on behind the scenes is the key to figuring out the patterns that might be playing out, and just that one observation will result in a much higher level of judgment for you. After you master observing your perception, you will also be able to understand the meaning of emotions in all of this. When we realize the patterns that are playing out, we can easily see how emotions are tied to that pattern, why they come about, and why we even needed those emotions up until this point. And the act of self-love is to hold space for all of this to unravel in this one moment. Once it does, you can, by intention, transmute this energetic pattern into any other state of your choosing. I usually choose love, as that's what I feel more and more of as I do this work. Starting a practice of self-love can be confusing for many and even create unexpected situations in your life. The key is to trust that inner knowing. The reason you might feel shaky about self-love is that you might not have experienced a lot of love in your life. In fact, your experience of love might have been tainted by unmet expectations. For example, you often hear of people saying things like, I love so and so unconditionally. Many parents, in fact, say that about their children. But what ends up happening? Those same parents end up sacrificing their bond with their child because the child perhaps decided to follow a different dream, not the dream that the parents had for the child. Or many couples get divorced after many years of trying to make things work. The reason is that the love that they experienced initially when they met did not really complete them. It only showed them where they were individually empty within. So when couples get together, they can use that love to understand where they feel weak within. Instead, what they do is they start to expect from each other what they couldn't deliver for themselves. And because they don't understand the mechanics of relationships, they either stay unhappy in marriages or they part ways and start the same cycle with somebody else. So those are two examples of what happens when we do not understand what true self-love is. That is why when you start on this amazing journey, try to reserve your judgment about whether it's working or not. Trust the process of inner work. That's where you will find that completeness that you have been looking for all your life. It's all on the inside. Be patient with yourself as you redefine what a good, healthy relationship is like, as you redefine your love for yourself. Because in essence, love and self-love are the same. You cannot truly love somebody else without first completely loving every part of you. I want to make this process crystal clear for you as we embark on this journey together. Think of your life as a house. Well, this is the analogy we're going to use right now until somebody can suggest a better one. So a house might have many rooms, and each room might have many ideas, stories, and beliefs that are depicted through pictures and decor that has been placed in those rooms. So using this analogy of a house with many rooms decorated according to the person's belief structures and experiences, now I can define self-love as visiting each room and keeping the decor that truly adds beauty to that room and discarding everything that seems out of place, out of time. But there is no quick and easy way to do that. That is why self-love seems so intimidating to so many. You have to go from one room to the next, one story to the next, and find the meaning of every single story. You have to keep what seems to be in alignment with the character of the house, and you have to discard the rest in a way that it doesn't end up back in your house. Or you might have to discard everything in that house to change the character completely. You might just want to tell a brand new story with how you redecorate this house. For example, when you notice an imperfection in yourself, that imperfection represents a memory in one of those stories that you chose to keep in that room of that house. So let's say in the room of relationships, you have a picture that is hung from a wall that shows you grieving the loss of a child. Now, when you visit that room, that picture will always remind you of grief, and you might carry that grief for years before you even realize it's there. Self-love helps you identify the grief, observe it, feel it, and then transmute it so you can move on and create happiness through the birth of a child or a different aspect of yourself. I was doing it all wrong before I understood the meaning of self-love. I would look at myself in the mirror, find something I could criticize about myself, and that would be the start of this constant chatter in my brain. The story would replay a million times until I was exhausted from doing that, and I would take a break to recharge. The break might have involved a self-care act like getting a massage. The cycle would then continue after the massage. For many, self-care could be excessive eating until they feel numb, or excessive workouts until they injure themselves, or even excessive gossiping about others. So they take the focus away from their own internal pain. So all day I would keep visiting various rooms in my mind that were open and unresolved. I would try to resolve them by getting entangled in the story, getting lost in the time when the story was created. And because I did not have the tools to resolve those stories then, I would get frustrated and realize that I had lost so much time trying. That was then. Today, I'm able to help you do this in an efficient manner so you don't have to waste years upon years trying to figure out the process. I can give you the steps, but you have to do the work. No one will do the work for you. And if anyone claims they will, I would seriously question that. Sure, there are some people that can help you identify patterns, but you have to be the one to choose what goes and what stays. It's all about free will. The goal of self-love is to go into every single room that you might have access to through your imperfections and observe the story and then transmute it. Many a times you only get access to 1 or 2 rooms at a time. Sometimes you have to resolve a certain number of stories before you're given the keys to open more rooms. It's really like a video game, except this process has real world rewards. So how can one bring more love for oneself in daily life? Is it through self-care activities? Sure, those help, but if your thoughts are still less than loving, in my view, you are no more closer to self-love than the person that does not do any self-care. Self-acceptance is the only way forward. Accepting that you are perfect in here. You just don't see that perfection just yet. And that is why we practice self-love, because we need to clean our view into our internal mirrors so we can see better. Imagine driving on the highway during a snowstorm and your windshield fluid runs out. There is no way you're going to be able to drive without crashing into something. Self-love is the windshield fluid in this case. You're going to need to keep using it to see clearly and then replenish it until you can figure out a way to create an unlimited source of that fluid to wipe your windshield, to clean your mirror. The goal here is to develop a vision so precise that you don't even need that windshield fluid anymore. So that was my introduction to the series on self-love. If you would like to actively participate in the deeper practice of self-love, I would recommend that you subscribe to my channel and click on the bell notification icon. This series is free to join, and it's my gift to you to help you rediscover the aspects of you that you are always searching for. Much love to you, and I shall see you in my next video. Bye.